stock market just give us a major warning today. Now, before we talk about what that warning could be, I want to let you guys know for information regarding the Take Profit Trader 50K test account winner. Later in this video, I'll inform you guys on the Take Profit Trader 50K test account winner. Now, before we look at the warning sign, let's see how the market did out here today. The Dow was up 16 points. NASDAQ was down 142 points. S&P 500 down 15 points, with the Russell 2000 being down 0.76. We look at advanced issues versus declining. We had 50% of issues declining on the day. Then as we come over and look at the sectors across the board, notice a majority of sectors were actually in the green. The laggers out there, consumer cyclicals, technology, and communication services. So now if we look at the SPY real quick on the chart, notice what we did today. We came right down to that VWAP, basically kissing that 50% retracement, and then we formed a hammer candle. Is this one of the warnings I'm going to talk to you guys about, putting the bears on notice that watch out, there are buyers willing to buy the market up if we're going to have a dip in this market. Then we come over and look at the fear and greed index. We can see even with the selling that we saw out here earlier today, we are still over in greed territory. And let's not forget, we had some news about Trump today where Trump calls on Fed Cook to resign as administration's heightened focus on mortgage fraud. Now, something we talked about yesterday was the fact that one of the reasons we're able to keep our rating with the credit rating agencies is if the Fed can stay independent. This kind of shenanigans may cause troubles down the road. Then let's not forget, today at 2 o'clock, we had the FOMC meeting minutes. And the second warning we have out here, Fed officials see high inflation just around the corner and think consumers will bear the burden minutes show. Now, that's something that, Jay Powell keeps talking about all the time. And we see right here, divided Fed worried about tariffs, inflation, in the labor market minute show. Now, they basically go on to say the meeting summary depicted a divergence of opinion among the central bankers who voted to hold their key rate steady, came despite objections from two Fed governors who argued in favor of cutting. Now the participants generally pointed to the risk both sides of the committee's dual mandate, and that emphasizes upside risk on inflation and downside risk on employment. Now, let me know in the comment section down below, do you guys think Jay Powell is doing a good job in doing the right thing by not actually lowering the interest rate? We come over real quick, we take a look at the VIX today. The VIX early on was spiking up, but look at the candle. The VIX spiked up all the way somewhere in the ballpark of 1720 and actually closed down here at 15.7. VIX only being up 13 cents on the session. We look at this on the 5-minute chart real quick. You can see a big rocket ship on the way up, and we just dwindled down all day long. We come over and look at the dollar index, basically closing out with the doji candle. Then we look at the precious metal gold. Gold today having a little bit of a bullish engulfing candle. If we can hold that 78.6, maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to turn this into an ABC pattern and come all the way back up here and take out that most recent swing high and potentially make another new all-time high. Now, I want to let you guys know of two amazing prop firm deals out there. The prop firm with the best payout policy out there, 40% off all their valuation accounts. Best yet, no activation fee. Use promo code EPITOME. And Tradeify, celebrating their anniversary for 3 days. They have a massive sale. You can get a 150K account for only $50. If you guys want to see all the prop firms I trade with, use the links in the description box down below. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the 50K Take Profit Trader account winner. And I got a little bit of bad news. When I went to use the picker today, the picker was not working. However, in the next video, I will be announcing the winner, and it's from yesterday's video. So if you guys haven't yet, went over there, hit the like button, and hit a comment. You still have a chance to win. But then as we come over and look at the Qs today, notice the Qs yesterday hit the first VWAP. Today came all the way down to the second VWAP and actually made it right around the 78.6 Fibonacci level. Came and basically auctioned this whole high volume area right here on the profile. And then we came right back up to the upper portion. Now the question is, as we're having a lot of these candles with wicks, are we going to go back down, rerun the wicks? Or is this going to set up a buying opportunity and it's going to be new all-time highs? Something we want to be on the lookout for. If the market starts to head up here a little bit, are we going to form a lower high, or can we go up and make new all-time highs? On the daily chart, pay attention to the MACD indicator, crossed to the downside, and we've been talking about the divergence playing out for quite some time. On the 4-hour chart, I warned you guys about this yesterday where the MACD indicator line was crossing, and now we're almost back down towards the zero line. And then on the 30-minute chart, notice we've already had the MACD indicator starting to cross, but do we come down for a double bottom pattern? Now, something I do want to bring your attention to, we have this potential A to B equals C to D pattern right like this. That pattern would complete about 569.53. And notice we closed just below value area high. So tomorrow, if we can get above value area high, I would want to see, can we go ahead and come back, fill the gap, and potentially take out that ABC target to the upside and see, do we end up forming some type of lower high in the market? Now, when we come over and look at the futures markets, we see that same 78.6 Fibonacci level tested right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the drawings off the chart real quick and notice how thin this profile is. There's a couple little distribution areas of the profile. It's basically been straight down all week long. Now, as we look at this, we would expect a retracement at some point in time. We pull our Fibonacci retracement, swing high down to the swing low. Now, we talked about this earlier. A 38% retracement would be a minor retracement. I think at minimum, this is where the market's heading next. More likely than not, we're going to make our way towards the 50% Fibonacci level. Now we'll see, do we come down and form a double bottom or put in a higher low as we start to work our way back up, potentially set up a lower high on the daily chart? Come over, look at the daily profiles on the 30-minute chart. Now, I got myself in a little bit of a pickle today on the live stream. If you guys joined the live stream, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I kept looking for the market to come right back up and retest the high of that candle that started to move on the way down. For whatever reason, I had a bias. I was only going to be a buyer this morning. If you guys were on the live stream, you've seen the disaster that I got myself into on that trade. Now, if you guys don't want to miss the next time I go live, make sure you're subscribed and you have the bell notifications turned on for all. But like we talked about with the Qs, we can also see we have a potential A to B equals C to D pattern right here on the 30-minute chart. Let's draw that out. We have the A to B leg, the B to C leg being the corrective leg, and then the projection for that would be about 23,471. Now notice one of the areas we were talking about on the live stream, I said highly probable we come up and re-auction that structure breakdown point, and that's exactly what we were able to do out here this afternoon. So now the question is going to be, do we end up coming back down? If we break back below, let's say 23,197, it's going to increase the probabilities we come all the way back down, and we'll see, do we form a double bottom or do we continue to cascade a bit lower? Now, I do favor some type of retracement in the market. I would love to see nothing more than a market retrace back up here a little bit and then turn back down and form that second leg on the way down, setting up a massive A to B equals C to D pattern. Now, as we come over and look at the SPY real quick, and see the SPY did not retrace nearly as far as the Qs did, but we came all the way down basically to the 50% Fibonacci level. We also have that hammer candle on the daily chart. Now, quite often we'll see these wicks come back and be rerun. However, is it going to be after we come up and form a lower high, or are we simply going to turn right back down tomorrow? MACD indicator is crossed to the downside, and if we're going to turn right back down tomorrow, what could be the catalyst for that? Well, if we look at the economic calendar for tomorrow, keep in mind, right here at 8:30, we're going to get the weekly unemployment claims. We get the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. Then at 9:45, flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI. Then existing home sales and CB leading index at 10 a.m. So we do have some news catalysts that could potentially move the markets, but we all know everybody is watching out for Jay Powell come Friday. So now if we come over and look at the 4-hour chart real quick, you can see we have that wick right there. And the MACD indicator is still extremely weak at this moment. We came right down. We overthrew this high volume area on the profile. We came right back up. Now, keep in mind, if we do push a little bit higher, it would make sense. We build a little bit of volume up in this area, maybe come all the way up here, and then we'll see if we reject on the way down. Something I would want to do is pull a Fibonacci retracement from the all-time high right down here towards the low. And notice we've already retraced almost 50%. See if we can make it to 61. If we start breaking the 78.6, then at that point, I would assume that we're going to make a run to new all-time highs. On the 30-minute chart, you can see we had that sell-off out here this morning. I want to kick myself in the butt every time I'm looking at this chart. But as we look at the MACD indicator, already crossed to the upside. We did a fairly good job of re-auctioning the whole entire move on the way down, getting a majority of that on the way up. Now, we still have not completely undone the whole entire down candle we had, that first 30-minute candle, which I do think is likely going to be undone in the very near future. We start trading above value area high. That's where I want to turn my attention towards some of the Fibonacci retracement levels, maybe all the way up here towards about 641.16. Also right within that minus development area within the profile. Now, if we come over and look at the SP futures markets real quick, one of the areas we kept talking about earlier last week over the weekend was a high volume area here. I said if we flush below that, look, we were able to take out that untested value area high at 6375.75. And I told you guys, if we did not do it last week, more likely than not, this would be the week. Bada bing, bada boom. Target's been filled, but we still have not been able to take out that point of control at 63.45. So now the question is, do we start to get a retracement on the way back up, potentially setting a lower high, and then we form a second leg on the way down? Well, let's go ahead and grab some Fibonacci retracements and kind of role play this out. If we grab our Fibonacci retracement from the all-time high right down to the low from today, we'll notice we're able to rally back up to the 38% retracement. That's normally on the move back up where the market will hesitate to some degree, either go sideways or start to pull back here just a bit. Now, if we grab our Fibonacci extension tool, let's measure if we're going to get ABC pattern on the way down. If we were to stop it, we'd have a price completion all the way down there at 62.71. If we are able to retrace up towards the 50% level, we then have a completion of the pattern at 62.88. If we make it up to the 61.8, then our completion pattern would be down here about 63.05. And even if we go to the 786, our completion would be 63.30, which would still be enough to go ahead and take out that untested point of control from 2 weeks back. Now, we come over and look at the daily profiles on the 30-minute chart. One of the areas we kept talking about was the structure breakdown point. Highly probable today we'd come back and visit it. Well, we hit it there, pulled back down, hit it once again. And now the question is, are we going to be able to take out this ABC pattern to the upside? Look at the chart closely. Can you see the ABC pattern before I draw it out? Here it is. Here's going to be the A to B leg, the B to C leg, and then we project, and that gives us a price completion at about 64.36. Now, something I failed to mention on the NASDAQ was the fact that we did not take out the P point, neither on the S&P 500 or on the NASDAQ. That was all the way up here at 64.43. If we look over on the NASDAQ, you can see that P point was all the way up here at about 23,579. Now, there's a 70% chance on a daily basis that we at least touch the P point one time. So the fact that we did not test it today, wherever the new P points come out tonight at 6 o'clock, I will be heavily focused on looking for trades towards that area. Now, when we look at the volume profile levels, if we break above value area high, 64.27, maybe we even hit the ABC pattern on the way up. If we start coming back down, I'd want to target the point of control. Then below that, I'd want to target value area low. Anything below that, I would expect the low to come back and be tested, potentially break. And then I want to turn my attention towards some of these lower targets. And depending on where we turn down, would basically tell us where that ABC pattern is likely going to complete. Now, if you'd like to learn how to set up Take Profit Trader with TradingView, then you want to make sure to check out this next video right here.